Internal audit profession has been around for many years.
Yeah.
It's not something that just happened, last 1 year or two. But it is a profession where you need to believe in what you're doing. Okay, so of course initially this is not a profession that most people like, because being an auditor, whatever you said, but I believe if you have passion in thinking that what I'm going to do or what I'm doing is actually for the benefit of the organizations or whatever organizations that you're in, and I think you will enjoy your job. So if you ask me what are the greatest strengths that have, for me to gone all the way, I started as just any other internal audit executive, then I progressed in my career until I'm now the heading the internal audit function, and then also being a president. So the only driver for me is that because I feel good about what I'm doing, because I'm helping organizations to improve their controls. I'm able to highlight the weaknesses in any organizations, what you have, you have not done correctly, or whether areas that you think you can improve further. So this is where the internal auditors can add value. They can highlight issues, they can add value. So as you see that things are becoming better, processes are improved, organization performance are improved, you will feel that kind of satisfaction that you have contributed. Alright, so, and the second thing about this good job is because you keep learning every day. You meet different people, okay, you're exposed to different environment, alright, you go into different operations, okay, so as you do your work, you are also learning at the same time. So it's a very interesting job, because a lot of the jobs you may just end there as it is, because we'll be doing a routine after a while, but actually not for internal auditing, because every assignment is different, every people that you meet is different, okay, every environment is different. Every business activities, they are going to different function, they have different ways of doing things. So being an auditor, you get to understand, at the same time, as I say, you get to learn, okay, and you get to experience, different kind of business operations, so this is also one of the way where you can actually polish up your human resource, or rather we call it PR skill, human relation skills. Because as you go along with your job as an internal auditor, you find that you have to be very tactful with people. It's not so much on just telling people what to do, but you have to be more persuasive. You have to convince people that, look, I have a good issue here, okay, how are you going to improve the system, and how our findings and whatever control improvement that we recommended will actually benefit the organization. So the skills itself is like, you learn a lot throughout the whole profession, not just about the job, it's about your own personal development. For instance, as I said, your human resource skills, how you manage people, how you deal with the difficult people, how you deal with difficult issues, those are very interesting, which I find, So because of the passion, and because I find that the job is so interesting, and it's so fulfilling, so that's why I continue the profession, I continue doing this job until where I am now, okay, and I'm still very much into what I'm doing, okay, I still enjoy my job. so that is something which I feel is very individual, but once you are in there and you start to appreciate the job, I think it's something that will take you very far. Okay, so.
So to become an internal audit is very interesting job, but I'm sure in this career there are many challenges to become an internal audit. So Datin, what is the biggest challenge for auditors nowadays? The biggest challenge you think?
If you are at the managerial level, I think one of the biggest challenge is to recruit manpower, because there are not many internal auditors which are so-called skilled internal auditors in the market. So a lot of the time you have to deal with staff turnover. Alright? But if you are talking about the job per se, I think the biggest challenge is about your soft skill. Perhaps a lot of internal auditors, they are actually from accounting background. Okay, they manage accounts and they look at figures, quite, I would say, quite in a competent way. But when you talk about understanding business perspective, dealing with people, as I said, you know, when you have an issues to put up to management, especially very senior management, and how do you convince them? How do you communicate your findings? Whether they will accept it constructively or whether they will just throw you away and become nasty with you. So that will be the challenge. Okay, so internal auditing is a job that you have to get yourself very seasoned. It's not that when you go in there and you are a successful internal auditors, you know, it won't be just overnight. But the lacking of skills will be, you know, when you deal with people. Alright, so I would think that would be the challenge, because at the end of the day you must come to a position that whereby management willingly accept and they see the value in you. So in a way, I would say that internal auditors, not just you have to do your work, but you also have to be making sure that you are able to demonstrate your value, and they must able to also receive and accept that kind of value. Okay, so if they can do that, then you are a successful internal auditors. But a lot of the time, as I say, you know, probably in the past, internal auditing probably is just another job. Okay, people will think that what I need to do is go in and look at the, you know, whatever is not wrong and whatever is not right, sorry, and then I'll just report it. But actually it is more than that. You actually have to deal with a lot of human issues. Okay, so the other challenge will be how pragmatic is the internal auditors. You know, you cannot, a lot of the things you can go by the rule of thumbs, but you must understand business environment, organizational perspective, they have different objectives. So whether you are able to have a balance between business objective and your control. So what we call is that, you know, are you able to do the cost benefit analysis? Are you going to have, you know, as what people say, you use a hammer to kill a fly, you know, then you wasted so much of resources. So a lot of the time, the auditor have to strike a balance. That means you have to be pragmatic. That means you have a good recommendation, is a recommendation that can help the organizations, okay, without putting in too many controls and you know, too many red tapes and operation become overly controlled, and then they cannot progress. Okay, so this is also another challenge, is that how many auditors can actually able to achieve that level of you know, competency, that you are good in terms of, you know, your work and looking at controls, but at the same time you are able to be, you know, pragmatic, you know, what we call business. I think you need to read a lot. You need to open up your mind, look at what is happening in the industry. Alright, you have to look into the risk perspective. Right, you have to talk to management. You cannot do your audit in silo. Okay, you have to be always have a lot of communication with your management, with the people running the business, so that they will tell you what are the current situations. Okay, what kind of risks and what kind of threats or what kind of strength that the companies are having. So that then of course you do your research, you read up as well. You can actually talk to your peers. Maybe those who are also internal auditors of the same industries, you know, then you all can share experiences and knowledge. Then you will see, okay, what is happening in the market. Then there will be a very good input when you start to look into the issues in your organizations. Okay, so I think of course for someone who just entered into the internal audit profession, you know, they will principally they will actually look into the fundamental controls and things like that. But if you were to go up to the next level where you need management to appreciate what you do, I think you got to have the business acumen. You got to be very pragmatic, you know. So then people will see that the auditor is not here just to tell me what I have done wrong, but they're actually here to tell me what I can do better. Yeah, that is okay. Yes, okay. Internal auditing, yes, sometimes we have to, you know, what you call argue over the tables, you know, because they can actually argue from non-acceptance of the issue per se to maybe simply they think your audit recommendation is not acceptable, because they feel that it's too much of control, you know, it's not practical, it's too costly, I don't have the people to do it. That kind of situation is possible. So that's why we always have this so-called close-up meeting, okay, or we call it audit exit meeting. So this audit exit meeting is whereby we will come, together and say, okay, these are all the issues that we highlighted, and we have recommendations. So first of all, do you agree with the issues? Okay, if they agree, then it will be good. Then 50% of the work done. Then we move on to audit recommendation. So audit recommendation is depends. So if they accept, it's fine. But if they do not accept, normally what we do is that we will say, okay, management alternative solutions. That means if you don't accept my recommendation, so what are your alternative solutions? So you have to give us. Okay, is that okay? You recognize there's an issue, but then we have to do something about it, right? So we will provide our recommendation. But if you think that it's not practical, you cannot do it. So what are your alternative solutions? Right? So we will go to that level. But having said that, as I say, when we table the issue, we also have to understand from both perspective. So we also, as I mentioned, come to a point whereby agree to disagree. You cannot be always like, you are always right. Sometimes when management explain their situations, you have to accept that, maybe they have a better solution, maybe they have a better reason why this cannot be done. So to a certain extent, we have to agree to disagree. But I always believe that when management come to a point where they begin to see the rationale of auditors, and we also come to a point where we begin to understand the business perspective, when that kind of relationship has been established, I think most of the time, any following up audit, management will accept your recommendation. Okay, so the challenge maybe is the first or two meetings or the first or two assignments. But once you have come to a level of understanding, a common understanding, you will find that eventually all the issues will be quickly picked up and recommendations are accepted. So these are the challenges when we move into a new organization or a new business unit, So because they are so new to the internal auditor, so sometimes they feel a little bit of not to say fear, they feel a little bit of resistance because they thought that, you are coming here telling me what to do, and I have been doing this for many years, So, but you have to change their perception and say that, look, I didn't say you are doing wrong, but there are better way of doing things, right? So this is another way of putting up to tell people you are wrong, But I will say that you are not wrong. It's just that you could have done it better, and this is the way. So then they will say, some of them will say, yeah, you're right, we should have done it this way.